What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. So today's video is going to be a little bit different in that I will not be going over a customer's install. I will not even be talking about a lightsaber. I am talking about a blaster today. And boy, is this thing awesome. This is the Raygun from Call of Duty Zombies. This was very generously sent to me by my buddy Kiennen over at Ksith. There is a lot to talk about with this ray gun, so I want to make sure that I cover everything, right? So those of you who don't know, Kiennen Ksith is a font maker, a very well-known, very talented fontsmith in the lightsaber industry. If you don't know the Ksith name, where have you been? You've been living under a rock, right? I have had the privilege of getting to know Kiennen very well over the past couple of years. We've been on a couple of Saber Boys trips together. Very talented guy. Multifaceted, talented guy when it comes to props, right? This is Kiennen's first prop, as far as I know. And man, did he enter the arena like on top. I mean, this thing is phenomenal from a maker standpoint, from a prop maker, like prop builder standpoint. The electronics that went into this thing are astounding. Like I can certainly appreciate the amount of hard work that went into this blaster, and it is awesome. It is really cool. I am a huge fan of functional props, right? Like static props are cool. I have like 1 or 2 static props in my collection. But when you can actually build something that works and is functional, I'm a huge fan of that, right? So the second I got this thing, I took some time to admire it, and then I took even more time just playing with it, right? Because it is an awesome, fully functional ray gun blaster, right? So for those of you who don't know, this ray gun is from Call of Duty Zombies. Now, full disclosure, I'm what the kids would call a Call of Duty noob. I don't even think they say that anymore. That's just me showing how out of touch and old I am. I'm not very good at Call of Duty, and I'm certainly not good at Call of Duty Zombies at all, right? So once in a while, actually, we try to do it once a week, right? We'll get together on Friday nights and we will play Call of Duty Zombies. And Kiennen, Ksith, essentially what Ksith does is just when we play zombies, he's just carrying the whole team on his back. And eventually, when we reach like level 8,000, Kiennen has the ray gun, and he's just basically reviving everyone and running across the map, killing zombies with this gun. So I've seen this gun in action in the game. It is really awesome. But yeah, it's a lot of fun playing with the guys, and it's a lot of fun just watching Kiennen basically carry the whole team, right? Kiennen has a passion for Call of Duty Zombies. He's very good at it. And I mean, it totally makes sense why he would put as much work into this as he did, because he is a huge fan of the game, specifically the Zombies multiplayer facet of the game, right? So I'm not going to come into Fusion. This is not my model. However, I do want to come up top. I want to talk about this thing. I want to use it. I want to go over, I want to try to explain as best I can how much work went into it. I didn't build it, but I can certainly tell, again, that a lot of work went into this thing, right? So the Raygun Project, Kiennen based this model, or I believe the majority of this model is from a 3D model called the Raygun Project, right? And he made some mild modifications, but they're not mild. I mean, he made stuff functional on this gun that is really awesome, right? So I want to make sure that I'm talking about all of that. I want to talk about all of the weathering that went into this, the painting. It's just such an awesome piece, right? So, and I want to make sure that I cover everything. So, with all of that out of the way, let's come up top and talk about this thing. All right, so here it is. The Raygun. The Raygun, the Call of Duty Blastomatic Raygun. This thing is so freaking cool. Okay. And I want to make sure, I hope I cover everything, because this, I mean, there's just so much to talk about, right? So from an installer, I'm going to start with my impression as like a small electronics installer and prop installer, right? For me, like as a lightsaber installer, you know, it's just one soundboard, really. I mean, like when you really like boil it down, it's one soundboard, some wires, a kill switch, a speaker, right? Some of the more complicated builds, you've got a lot of stuff going on, like OLED and motor and all that stuff. But for the most part, you know, I'm just installing soundboards into hilts. This thing has so much going on in it, right? So initially, I think Jeremy from Solo Sabers and Ksith were working on a project similar to this, where they were going to put a Profi in one of these, and there is some delay with, you know, adding servos with Profi. So Ksith, Kiennen scrapped that and chose to go with an Adafruit board. It's essentially an Adafruit feather board with some other, I think there's some other controller boards in this. I know I know of Adafruit. All right, I'm going to come back down to the bottom. So I have worked on some Adafruit feather boards before. I've worked on one or two dev boards. These are not easy platforms to learn. And what I really appreciate is the fact that Kiennen picked up all of that and learned it. And I can 100% respect and appreciate that. I was privy to some of his when he was learning some of this code, but for the most part, he searched out the knowledge himself, and he learned and coded himself to build this. And that tells me that he is super passionate about this. He was super passionate about this project. He still is, right? So that's not an easy thing to learn. It's just to pick up a board and, you know, and do the research and get on the forums and ask people for help and all that. It's just not an easy feat. So I can certainly appreciate that, right? So anyway, let's talk about this guy, right? So it is based on an Adafruit prop maker feather board. There's so much going on in here, okay? So we have a kill switch here. So let's get a good look at this blaster, like the profile, right? Let's talk about the outside first. Kiennen printed this in PLA, multicolored PLA, and then he went back and weathered it. I'm just shocked at how well this has been executed for his first prop. I mean, this thing is awesome. He weathered this already, right? So all of this is multicolored PLA, with the exception of some of these gold accents. He went in with some oil stains here. I'm not sure what he used, but to me, it looks like he used either Rub and Buff or some Tamiya weathering pigments in here. Okay. I mean, this is an awesome job for a prop. It looks real. It looks like it's been weathered, right? It looks like it's been used. So, you know, really awesome. I don't know where he got the sticker for this gauge. It's just so awesome. Okay. So we have a kill switch here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. All right. So then the gun will power up. There are, I think this is translucent PLA, right? We've got LEDs in here that animate when you turn it on. Obviously, the gauge will animate when you turn it on. So right off the bat, you know, you've got a lot of LEDs going on, right? So you've got to program these LEDs. You got to program them to turn on, obviously, when the hilt turns on, and animate, right? So that's one programming aspect of that. Okay, fully functional. This gauge, when you pull the trigger, the gauge moves. I don't know where he got the sticker for this gauge. I don't know if he had that made. Just an awesome attention to detail, right? So another thing that you have to program into this board is this gauge. So I am assuming that there is a servo in here that moves and is programmed to move when you pull this trigger, okay? There is also a heat sink. This is probably one of my favorite aspects of this hilt, is this rotating heat sink back here. All right, so I'm out. I'm out of ammo. Let me reload this really quick. We'll talk about this in a second. God, that's so freaking cool. So there's a rotating heat sink back here, okay? And one of the things that I noticed, right, so these are the small weird details that I noticed, right? You've got one servo or motor spinning this gauge the arrow for this gauge this way when you pull the trigger. The other servo or motor is rotating the heatsink back this way. So there's two separate motors that are programmed to do two separate things when you pull this trigger. Okay. So awesome. All right. So you just noticed that I did reload this. This has a reload function. I'm like smiling because this is so freaking cool. Kiennen, obviously, he's a sound guy. So he's made the sound font and the noises and the sounds that accompany some of the actions with the hilt, obviously, because he's a pro at that stuff. When you open the barrel, there is a sound. Okay? So that's one sound. To reload this thing, this is so fucking awesome. Excuse my language. So there are batteries in here, okay? You take the batteries out and there is a noise. I have no idea how he did that. I have no idea how he did that. I don't know if there are magnets in here or what. But again, that's another aspect of programming that you've got to tell the board to make a different sound every time a battery is inserted. Two different noises, by the way. If you listen carefully, those are two different sounds, right? So to reload this, you want to put your batteries in. The batteries even have detail. I mean, I don't know if... I'm assuming that he designed these labels, printed them on vinyl, like vinyl sticker, and put them on the battery. I mean, that is just an awesome, awesome attention to detail. So to reload this, you got to take your batteries out, put the muzzle back on, and you're good to go. I think it has like 40 shots, right? I mean, just so awesome. Like, just such an awesome, awesome feature, right? Another aspect of this thing is this dial, right? So when you turn the dial, you go into pack-a-punch mode. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this dial. Okay. All the neopixels, I'm assuming these are neopixels or LEDs, they change color. And now you're in pack-a-punch mode. I think there's 40 shots. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here for 40. Anyway, yeah. I mean, so that's another aspect of the board that you've got to program. You've got to program a rotary switch. Okay, so you've got another switch down here for the trigger, obviously. Then you've got a rotary switch to tell the board, to tell these neopixels to change color when you rotate it. And then, of course, when you rotate it back, you go back to regular mode. Just so, so awesome. So much attention to detail in this with the like heat staining and the oil staining and the grease staining. Just awesome. Such an awesome, awesome prop. And like my hat's off to Kiennen for all the work that was put into this, right? And the folks at the Raygun Project that initially designed the model, obviously. But I mean, Kiennen really took this to a whole other level. Let's come down to the bottom. Yeah, I cannot stop playing with this thing. So there's that gauge. See if I can get it on camera again. So, so cool. So hopefully all of this detailing and heat staining and grease staining is coming out on camera. This sticker in front of the gauge is so awesome. I mean, for your first prop project, I mean, this is a significant accomplishment. Significant. I mean, oh, I'm out. So here we go. So when I'm out, when the clip is empty or when you're out of ammo, you tilt down the muzzle, right? So that's a noise, obviously. So he's programmed the board to make that noise when you take this muzzle off. I'm assuming there might be magnets in here or something to trigger that. Then you take out your batteries. There's the battery. To reload. One. And they're two different sounds. I appreciate small details like that. And then put your barrel up and you're good to go. So here is that dial. Put it in my left hand here. Here's that dial. And that will change to pack-a-punch mode. I'm smiling ear to ear since I got this thing. And then that heatsink back there. is so freaking cool that that is functional. I mean, this thing is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome work by Ksith, Kiennen. I'm very grateful that he sent me one of these. It's just such an awesome. I had one that he did for me that was just a static, and to get an actual usable ray gun is so cool. I'm like smiling like a kid because this thing is just so cool, and it's also like, again, like I can certainly appreciate the amount. A lot of work went into this. A lot. I'm saying that from, you know, a prop builder and a small electronics installer. A lot of work went into this thing. So my hat is off to Ksith, Kiennen. It's just an awesome prop, right? So I believe that Kiennen will be doing a small run of these, and I cannot highly recommend this enough. So to you folks who are interested in doing or in getting one of these, reach out to Ksith. They are awesome, especially if you're a fan of like Call of Duty Zombies. If you're a fan of well-made functional props as well, pick one of these up. They're awesome. So freaking cool. I can't stop playing with this thing. Yeah, the batteries, really cool, right? So that is all I've got. I just, again, like I can't appreciate a build like this enough. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful prop. A lot of hard work went into this. So, and obviously the folks that designed the original model from the Raygun Project, it's a fantastically highly detailed model as well. So that's all I've got for this one. To Ksith, thank you very much for gifting me this. It was awesome to receive. I have been playing with it nonstop. It will be a permanent fixture in the background of my videos now. It's a permanent fixture in my collection. I always love getting stuff from friends. They are very meaningful to me. So anyhow, for those of you who are interested in this, I highly recommend reaching out to Ksith or reaching out to him with any questions you might have. I believe he's doing like a small run of these. So pick one up. Pick one up while you can, because they are awesome props, right? So that's all I've got. Thank you for watching, everyone. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.